How's it going? All right, let's see if I have everything set up. All right, so for those of you on the stream, I set up a subscription for GLM. I wanted to test it out a little bit. And I think I'm going to be using Claude Code to use it. I think you can also use Open Code, but there's a way to configure Claude Code to actually point to GLM and use that under the hood. So I'm going to kind of figure out how to do that. Developer docs maybe. I'm guessing there's a way if I type in Claude Code. All right, so install Claude Code, navigate to your project, run Claude. So I'm going to do that on another tab real quick. You guys can't see it. All right, I got the key on my clipboard. Hopefully I don't leak it on my stream. What's going on, guys? How's it going? Like, this is by far the #1 thing that people talk about when we're working on Automaker is like, how do you set this up with GLM? And really 2 ways you can do it. There's probably a lot of different ways. Seems like GLM is just like an API. And you can point these tools to the API. Automated code tool helper, automated script, no configuration. Yeah, I'm going to do this one. Edit the Claude Code configuration file, Claude settings. So I'm thinking in the actual, I wonder if they can read up on your project. Like if I can have every project potentially use GLM or not. But let's just go ahead and grab this one. Hopefully there's nothing in my settings that I can't, going to be leaking. Let me load up an iTerm. Okay, I'm going to edit the settings on a different terminal. I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to paste this in. API timeout. Okay, let's just paste in my API key now. I think that's all I do. You basically just set this in your Claude settings. Next time you load Claude, it'll actually use GLM instead of using Claude Code. So yeah, do you guys have any suggestions of what I could try building on the stream? I'd probably be streaming for like an hour, 2 hours, and we could try to build something together. So I'm curious if you guys have any suggestions about what to build out. And we can just see if this works. I guess I could test that real quick. I'll say like GLM test. And then I'm going to open this up. People also talk about the Ghostly terminal. Is that something I should try out one day? Ghostly? I'm so used to using cursor at this point. So we could say Claude, and hopefully that'll actually load using GLM. Now my question is, how do you actually verify this is using GLM or not? I think it just kind of uses it. How to switch the model in use. Mapping between Claude Code internal models, environment variables, and GLM model with the... I mean, it's saying you don't need to do this, but you can set these. Go to status. I guess we can do that to check that it's hitting the ZAI. Hopefully nothing gets leaked. That's important. Yeah, here we go. So I think it's set up correctly. Cool. Big Pickle in Open Code is actually GLM 4.6 in the free tier. That's cool. What's up? Sash code. F mints. Camera is lagging. Is it laggy for you guys? You lagging like crazy. Let me know if I'm still lagging in the chat. System crashed after updating Automaker. I had installed it using docploy. Yeah, I don't know. You have more information about that? Not find module fast XML parser, or it's... Did you do an npm install? Sounds like you're missing something that was maybe added. Try building an NAN clone. Okay. Build a car bidding site. Booking and client management for landscaping business. Sounds interesting. These are all good ideas. Have you got the GLM coding plan? Yeah, I signed up for the light version for a year just to try it out. It was like $30, so why not? Is the actual video lagging or just my camera? Because I mean, I'm looking at my playback right now. It seems like it's fine. Yeah, I could try adding these things in. The docs literally say you don't need to do that, but I could add those in just to make sure. Currently GLM 4.7. $3, 15 per. Yeah. I think it's fine. Anyway. It does it automatically. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, you don't have to add those to the environment variables. Build an app that automatically clips good game content from somebody's Xbox or PlayStation account and have it upload to different social media platforms. You leaked with status? I leaked what? There's nothing in the status. My session ID? Is that like sensitive? Ain't nothing in here that's actually sensitive that I can tell. I guess they could take my session ID. It's fine. It's $30, you know? I mean, they have it blurred out here, so it's probably a good idea to blur it out. But it's fine. Speaking of NAN, try to fix their CVE10 with GLM. There's no need to. Now will come with models of yours. What are your thoughts on Ralph, Gastown, and how do these techniques compare to using Automaker? I haven't used Ralph yet. I mean, I think having these things just run continuously can be very useful, but it's also very like a waste of credits in my opinion. Even Automaker itself, like the more I play with it, the more I'm like, I'm seeing the limitations of just stacking up a backlog with like 50 items and letting AI try to build it out. It's just, it doesn't build out a quality application. I have found better results if you just sit there and prompt it iteratively and then check the results and then like, yeah, I don't know. I'm already kind of losing faith in this whole autonomous coding type of thing. Maybe in a year it'd be better, but you could probably spend a bunch of time making sure every feature is really well documented and like really defining your RFPs or whatever they're called, requirement documentations. But then it's like not fun anymore, in my opinion. You can use it with Automaker also. I've learned so much from all your hot take videos. I feel those teach all the nuances of tech stack better than any other tutorial. Will keep on doing it. Yeah, thank you. Ralph seems like a token guzzler. It's not even that. I mean, like these models, if you just ask it to add a bunch of features, like it'll add the backend code, the front end code, but then when you start using the application just doesn't feel good. And I think having that like intentional iterative add a feature, test it out, play around with it in the UI, and then iterate on it. And then when you feel like it's all good, you move on to the next feature. I think that's a better approach of building out an actual quality application versus stacking up 50 backlog items and just letting Opus cook on it. I mean, it's going to add a bunch of features, but sometimes it adds features that like you didn't even care about. So I guess I'm just having second thoughts on some stuff. Anyway, we had 3 ideas. Someone said an innate-in clone. I haven't really used innate-in yet. I am curious. I know it's like a graph base. You can like actually have things run scripts. Let me go to innate-in. Let me just start with this. So it's a way to have like, I think it's using like React Flow or something probably. So I'm actually just gonna, let's just roll with this idea. We'll see if GLM can actually do something like this. So I'm gonna just take a screenshot of this and then we're gonna go over here and I'm gonna say, oh, I need Super Whisper set up, hold on. Can you please set up a basic React project using TanStack Router, Tailwind CSS, Shad CN in React, and then try to make a landing page that has this type of graph displayed. You could try looking into React Flow. Maybe that's something we can use to automatically have cool graphs built up. We need the ability to basically create a node and then attach additional nodes off of that. So I'm going to start with something really basic. You could probably use plan mode as well. I don't really use plan mode that much. So let's see how it goes. I'm also not running this in dangerously skip permissions because I'm kind of curious what it has access to. It even asked me for stuff either. Let me over here. Yo, it's kind of slow though. It's definitely slower than Opus. I can tell you that. I'm not seeing any outputs yet, unless I didn't configure it correctly. All right, GLM Flow app. Okay, React TS. Okay, let's just do that. I forget, where does it, like, in Claude Code, when you say yes to this stuff, okay, and don't ask again for npm install command. I think if I did this, it'll add it to my project. Yeah, okay, that's what I was looking for. Actually, I will not allow that. I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna be very, very cautious and just like auto-approve everything. It'll be a slow coding stream. GLM likes to stop outputting any tokens like for a minute before it continues. Hey Cody, what model do you think is best for coding and not too pricey? I mean, that's what we're trying to find out. GLM is probably the cheapest model out there. Like, it gives you a lot more usage from what I understand than Claude Code. I just don't know if it's on par with Opus, so we'll have to kind of test that out. The keyboard I'm using is something called Clack App. You can npx innate-in. I'm not trying to install innate-in. I'm trying to build a clone of innate-in. That is auto-approve all this stuff. Let's see. Allow you to edit v command. Yeah, you can edit whatever files. That's fine. And GLM isn't a vision model. It has a weird workaround. Okay. Voice app, Super Whisper. I like to use a Ralph loop to create specs off of a SaaS I want to vendor in my project. Yeah, I don't even know how I feel about letting AI write specs. When you say specs, do you mean like tests? Or do you mean like actual specification markdown files? The amount of things I have seen like AI write, it's just right. Like, if you just throw a bunch of tests, like a bunch of random tests, I'm not very confident that AI is writing actual good tests. Unless you have really good context files that really tell it how to like write good tests. I would rather add like 1 or 2 tests at a time and test and make sure they're good. All right, what's this trying to do? It's trying to remove a source file and run my dev command. Yeah, that's fine. Why is your voice on Twitch is much louder and clearer than on YouTube? I have no idea. The same OBS streaming to, what is it called? Find a good test skill. You can point the AI at the skill and get good tests. I mean, reverse engineering a product like you are doing for NAN right now. I just have a good spec template, user stories, or requirements. It writes markdown for me, boring property stuff. What do you think about Dario saying that all software engineering would be automated in 1 year? I guess we have to be very specific on what that means. I think writing code, like the act of actually manually writing code, I think that's going to be automated. Like there might be a couple things you have to manually tweak in your editor, but I have seen, like, I have built out basically Automaker. I haven't written like any lines of code. My whole zombie game, I barely wrote any code. It's all just been me prompting these agents to write the code for me, and then prompting the agents to refactor the code and make it better, make it cleaner, to write the documentation. So I think we're reaching a point where, yeah, like, you won't be writing code by hand much anymore, in my opinion. So I guess if you say software engineering, I don't think it's going to automate software engineering. I think you still have to have a human in the loop, being very intentional about the context and the requirements that you're providing. And you have to be very specific in like verifying the requirements are actually being implemented correctly. And then asking the right questions and knowing like what you should add into the context and stuff. I don't think it's going to be fully automated in a year, honestly. What's up, Leon? How's it going? By the way, go check out Leon's channel. He actually just made a video about GLM. Oh, that video is blowing up. 43,000 in 4 days. Good job. And the video before that, 42,000. Killing it. You started letting Nano Banana make your thumbnails, and now your stuff's blowing up, huh? Good job. What do you find? What do you think about the new Cerebrus X OpenAI partnership? Honestly, I don't know what that even means. I don't pay attention to the tech news, honestly. Shouldn't the people who truly love engineering and innovating move to improving frameworks or coming up with new novel paradigms in software engineering? That would require some hand coding, probably. I don't know. I really don't think it does. I think when you're a senior level engineer and you know exactly what you want, and you see these agents basically make all the changes in code from one prompt, you don't need to like hand code stuff anymore, from what I'm seeing. Okay, get diagnostics. What is that one? Get the language diagnostics from VS Code. Sure. All right, looks like it's done. I actually go to task. I'm gonna kill this task, honestly. I don't like letting Claude Code run my stuff, I'll be honest. Alrighty, here we go. We got our first little bug. Let's see if GLM can fix it. Just paste it in. Now, it might be good to use context 7. I think I've seen this multiple times when trying to set up a project in TanStack. Like, it doesn't get the latest information about how to set this stuff up. So I probably pulled in an older deprecated approach Let's see, trying to run your dev server again. Okay, now it's failing on a different issue. So let's go ahead and try that again. Okay, if this one fails again, I'll just say use context 7 to look up the proper way to do this. I think it's working. Let's see. React Flow does not have a export name. Okay, let's try this again. What do I think about Brightmind? Who's Brightmind? All right, we got a fully working thing now. I really didn't want it to like make a landing page. So, oh, is this here? Interactive demo. Cool. What's this thing? Okay. This is a good start, but I actually do not want a landing page with like the traditional hero banner and all this other marketing stuff. I just want a full screen app that shows a React Flow canvas where I can then start adding nodes and then connecting nodes to other nodes with lines. Use context 7 to look up the React Flow docs. How about that? Let's see if it can invoke my MCP server. I do believe I have. Yeah, I don't need it to ask for permission for web search. There we go. We got a full screen React Flow app now. And how can we drag? How can I make connections between these things? All right, I'm going to start with a new context. Add a way for a user to clear out all the nodes on the board and start over from scratch. And go ahead and say app. I need you to add a way for a user to drag an edge to connect nodes. This needs to be a directed type of graph where I can drag a direction from one to the other. Also add the ability to delete that connection. So like if I click on the edge, it'll select it and show some type of indication that it's been selected. And if I press delete on my keyboard, it should delete that edge that was connecting those two nodes. All right, so we got a delete button here. Okay, I would rather put that at the top. Instead of having a delete trash icon, move it to the top left and just say clear board. Okay. When they click on clear board, show a confirmation delete dialog using shadcn just to verify that they do want to delete all of the nodes and the edges that are on the board and make it clear language that it's going to clear everything out and they can't recover it. There's no way to actually like click on a node. Yeah, I'm going to say over here, let's see, allow, edit. Yeah, let's just do that. I need you to add the ability so when a user right clicks on the board, they see a a menu pop up that allows them to add a node. And when they click add node, it'll add a node to the actual React flow data structures behind the scenes, however that kind of works. Oh, I guess it didn't install ShadCN. I do believe I asked it to set up ShadCN when I started this project, so. Oh, my head is hiding like these terminals. I like to make my terminals over here. Kind of name them. All right, so we got edges now. I can click and delete. Nice. I can right click not yet. Let's see, not yet. Okay, so the edges seem like they're working. Can I connect? Cool. Clearing is still not done yet. I guess it's still setting up ShadCN so we can get a delete confirmation dialog. For voice, I'm using Super Whisper. What do you think of Bridge Mine? He's cool. I like watching him. I like watching his the way he codes. I do think the way he codes is actually how a lot of people are doing agentic coding these days, where you have like 3 or 4 terminals open, modifying various things on different pages at the same time. And I will say that the way that he codes is exactly how I code usually. I'm going slow in this stream, but when you're familiar with the tools, you can actually move pretty quick and build a lot, multiple different concurrent Claude Code terminals. And I have a whole course, agenticjumpstart.com, that kind of walks you through the things I've learned about using Claude Code and Cursor for my day-to-day work and also my side projects. I have 82 videos, 2.5 hours of content, and we basically walk you through the basics of agentic coding, Claude Code, and Cursor, and then we build out a full stack web application. So if you guys are interested in that, I'll just do a little promo for you guys there. If you're interested. If not, I mean, what I'm doing on the stream is basically the way I do agentic coding, but I am kind of going slow, talking with chat, trying out a new model. What are you trying to achieve, though? I'm just playing around with the model, see how well it can do things, where it trips up on adding features. I think that's the best way to kind of test these models. Let's see. Yes, allow all edits. By the way, for those of you who are watching, is there an editor or a terminal that I can have it automatically prompt me when Claude Code is asking for like my input? Like, I would love it if this showed like some type of indicator, knowing that I have to actually address it. I know I could add in Claude hooks and have it play a sound for me. Maybe that's the solution. Use a Claude hook that shows some type of like notification on my operating system that, hey, like something's done. But like, I know BridgeMine likes to use Warp. I've heard some good things about that. I just haven't had a chance to kind of play around with it. I know OpenCode has like an Electron wrapper. I think it's an Electron. Maybe it's something else. But they have some like native desktop app that kind of allows you to kick off various things. I haven't tried Claude Desktop. There's so much stuff coming out. I just don't have the energy or the time to like try it out. Doesn't like Claude have something similar to this, where I can manage all my sessions from like one desktop app? I still use Cursor a lot, so I kind of like want it all integrated. All right, so Clearboard. Have the dialogue there. It's kind of weird that it's popping out from the left. Can you make it so it doesn't fade in from the left? Instead, it fades in from the center of the screen. Ooh, I should be able to double click on a node. So, looks like adding node works fine. Can you add the ability to double click on a node to change the text that's inside of it? And also, when I select the node, I want you to show a shadcn drawer to the right with the node title and then also a text area that I can write some Node.js code into or something. I'm using Conductor on top of the same setup. It's much easier. Yeah, maybe I'll use Conductor. How is he talking to the computer? I'm using Super Whisper. Yes, I'm trying to build like an N8N clone. I'm just playing around with the model to see how well it is. What skills should we focus on now with AI writing most of the code? You should try to learn higher level software engineering patterns. You know, cloud architecture, system designs, system architecture, code architecture. I think those things are still very important. Debugging is still very important until these models become like better. Conductor doesn't work on Windows, right? I don't know. I don't use Windows. For those interested in using local free models, GLM 4.7 Flash is now available on Olama. That's cool. Yeah, I need to get a better graphics card. I don't like how have you tried that, Leon, on your Mac? Is that pretty fast or is it like super slow? Use the extension. It has a pop-up if you're not on that tab. Okay. Ghostly has notifications. Cursor does that. Not sure about Claude Code. What's up, Ben Walton? Warp is good too. Claude Desktop is awful. Answer the question. GLM 4.7 is not better than Opus, but it's almost the same as Sonnet I've been using for months. I can confirm that. Is GLM winning? Any reason you don't use Automaker for development? Honestly, I don't know. I've been trying to build out Automaker and trying to make it a tool that I actually use in my projects. But there's just something about a terminal that just makes it feel better. I don't know what it is. I think what happened with Automaker, it's like a really cool project, but it's hit 150,000 lines of code. Actually, I don't want you to run it. Stop. The project's become really large and we keep on adding features to it and now it's just really bloated and I just don't even want to work on it anymore. I'll be honest. I don't even want to touch it. There's so many more features added to it that people have requested from the community that I don't care about, I don't use. And now it's like I feel this obligation to maintain the project and I don't want to. I don't want to review PRs. I don't want to try to maintain all this stuff. Like people keep saying it doesn't work on Windows or it doesn't work in Docker. There's like too many ways to run the application. I don't have the time to maintain all of it. And so now I'm just basically, I might just stop working on the project, honestly. It doesn't meet my needs. I feel like I'm building it for other people instead of building it for myself, which is originally what I was building it for. I just wanted to use it for myself. But now it's just becoming like a monstrosity and I just don't want to touch it. And there's something simple about a terminal that gets the job done. Even in Automaker, like I can't, like when Claude Code wants to ask you a question, we don't even have that feature added. So you can like talk back to Claude and give it input. So I don't know. It was a really fun experiment. It was fun building with a team of people, but I think a lot of people are just losing steam on working on it. I'm losing steam on working on it. I don't want to maintain it. I'm not getting paid to maintain it. I don't have the time to maintain it. But I think it was a really cool project. I'm not sure what the next steps are. Maybe I'm just burned out a little bit on it because it's, you know, it's become a really big project. But for right now, editing node. You can make a notification hook. Any reason you don't use Automaker? It needs about 18 gigabytes of VRAM for the quantized version. Performance is not bad on consumer hardware. What machine do you have? I think I have like 18 gigabytes total on my computer. So I don't know. I've tried running some local models and they're just super slow. Like I feel like I'd need a desktop with like a GTX 4090 to be able to use these models at the same efficiency as using just like the Claude Code API or whatever. Oh, my nose is so stuffy. Let's see. Oh. Guys, I don't need you to run my server. You don't need to check if my server's running. It's already running in a separate terminal. Okay. Might do an init right now, just so I can add some additional things to Claude Code. I hate when it tries to run my service. I always run my service in a separate terminal, so I have like the flexibility of quickly just going to it, killing it, and restarting if I want to, or running like migration commands or whatnot. But it's like Claude Code always wants to just run your stuff. It's like it's already running. Stop asking me. So I'm going to do an init, make a Claude MD file, and then I'm going to add some critical sections to it. All right, what is going on here? I still get this error. Can you please fix it? Sounds like you're done with it. Yeah. No, I mean, there was another thing I started prototyping with. Like the Kanban board is cool, but we started experimenting with another view, like a gamified version of agentic coding, where you can kind of have like a SimCity views to it. I saw some stuff on X of people doing that, where your whole project could be basically represented with a bunch of like buildings. Like every feature could be a building, and then you can click on the building and see how it progressed over time. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like I'm just playing around with stuff and not actually building anything useful. Automaker feels nice outside until you look at those 5,000 lines of code files. Yeah. I mean, there's only a couple of them, right? But I mean, there are some files that I'm like, they've reached a complexity point where I'm like, it would become a full-time job to maintain this project, to be able to support it from Mac and Linux and Windows and Electron and API and inside of Docker. Then we have like an Electron embedded API mode. If I do decide to go back and like just work on Automaker, I'll probably just have one run mode. It'll be API only with the UI. Get rid of all that Docker stuff, get rid of all the Electron stuff, simplify it as much as possible so that it doesn't feel like I'm trying to maintain like 16 different combinations of how you can run this application. Or just force everyone to use Docker because I'm getting people to say, hey, like this doesn't work on Windows, or I'm using Windows WSL or whatever it's called, and it's not working for them. I'm like, I don't have Windows and I'm not going to debug. Like, honestly, I'm not going to debug it for you guys. So, and then they'll make a pull request with the fixes. I'll merge it in, and then it starts breaking for some other thing. You know? It's like, I think we're just adding in too many features too fast, which is one problem with agentic coding. It's very easy to add features, but you also have to slow down and ask yourself, does this feature actually add value to the people using the product? And if it doesn't, do not add it in, right? From my perspective, Automaker, I just need a Kanban board, maybe work trees, the ability to use Cursor CLI or Claude Code CLI. And that's about it. Like the whole app spec and the auto planning and the auto mode, it was a really cool thing to experiment on. but I have ran and built out many projects using the auto mode, like 50 features, 100 features, and I go and look at the application, and I have to do so much rework of fixing various bugs, getting it to work. The user experience of these applications is just not good. And that could be a skill issue. Maybe I didn't provide enough context files up front, but at that point, it just doesn't feel like it's even my project. It feels like someone else is building a project and I could just go and try to run it, and it's just like garbage. So I would rather just work slow, have 1 or 2 terminals, maybe 3, prompt it 1 feature at a time, test that feature manually, add it, commit it. I think that's ultimately the best way you're going to build a quality product. And then you can kick off other terminals to fix bugs or to do teeny little refactorings and stuff as in like background processes. But when you start adding all this other stuff like work trees, it almost feels like you're adding more complexity and cognitive overhead and context switching that it just no longer feels fun coding anymore. I think some people can handle it. I think other people can't handle it. And I think finding the balance is going to be different for every person. Like, what's your max concurrent Claude Code instances are you going to use? You know? All right, where am I at? Okay, that's pretty good. But there's no node properties. Why is this? See, like this, I need to make sure that this is actually good. Someone was mentioning that this side panel, it looks like the accessibility and the contrast is not proper for dark mode. Look at the title, it's black for some reason. Go through my CSS and my Tailwind config and try to figure out if it's properly set up with Shad CN for light and dark mode. Also add in a dark mode toggle to the top left of the application so I can test both views. So far, I mean, GLM seems like it's working pretty good. I don't have any strong complaints against it. But the way I like to develop with like this iterative coding type of approach, it seems like it's working pretty well. I haven't even used plan mode. Personally, plan mode also just feels like, I don't know. Maybe it's I'm so used to coding the old-fashioned way, the manual way, that I'm still reluctant of just like planning out every feature and spending 20 minutes reading through a markdown file. Like that's just not fun to me. So I'm not going to do it. Also, writing code by hand is not fun to me anymore. I would not want to waste my time writing this code by hand. So I'm still trying to figure out the balance of I don't want to just be a markdown engineer, but I also don't want to be a manual coder. So I need to find that sweet spot of where using these tools really allows me to still have fun and enjoy what I'm doing, because I think that's important. Sometimes I'm just like, man, this is just not fun anymore. I'd rather just get into another career. I'm being honest, like. But then other times, like, it adds a bunch of features real quick, and it's kind of exciting, you know? Okay, so is this one adding the dark mode? Let me do that one. Yeah, I'm going to change this. Can you make sure when the page loads, it starts with a blank canvas? Right now, it's starting off with, like, a hexagonal connected cyclic graph, and I don't want that. Remove that. I'm going to move the light mode. Yeah, light mode's not even working. It's probably still kind of going through this. Are you on Claude mode max? I'm on the 5X plan, whatever the $100 a month is. I'm wondering what the max you have used when you created those projects. I've actually switched to $200 a month when I was building an Automaker. I was hitting limits decent amount with that. Yeah, I'm using GLM 4.7 with ZAI subscription. It's a year subscription I bought for like $30, so I'm testing that out. Is there a team or Windows users that you can get to make a Windows fork? Why are you not using sub agents but using diff Claude instances in each terminal? Because I don't really know if a sub agent is going to help me for. Typically, a sub agent is for keeping your context window small, right? So if you want to like generate a giant plan and have it like fan out with a bunch of sub agents to go research your code base, and then have those sub-agents return a simplified thing to the main thread. That's kind of the use case of sub-agents, what I've seen. But I like having different Claude Code terminals open. They're kind of like my different sessions, and then I'll just clear them out when the feature's done. This is just a workflow I found that works for me. Don't know if it's the best workflow. At some point, like when you're min-maxing your workflows, like you're finding ways to squeeze out 2% efficiency. When you find something that works, just do it, right? This clicks on my brain for some reason. I tried using the Claude Code extension of VS Code. For some reason, it just doesn't work as well as this approach for me. Each their own, right? Okay, I'm going to move the dark mode toggle. It's still not working. Move the dark mode toggle to the top right and make sure that the clear button is moved up to the top left. And also, it doesn't seem like when I switch to light mode, the actual canvas switches to a light mode. The canvas seems to be stuck in a dark mode theme. Fix it. All right, anyway, let's just go back over here. So I'm going to make a node. What's the point of this? What's the point of the app we're building right now? I think what we could do is like, I could chain in agents, right? So I could have node 1 be like a researcher agent. Is there not a save button? Oh yeah, it automatically saves. That's cool. Okay, there we go. There we go. Sorry for the flash, guys. All right. Oh, okay. When I refresh the page, my the state goes away. Make sure that when I modify the state of the board, aka when I create node or edges or change the actual metadata inside the nodes, that you persist that to local storage so that if I were to hard refresh the app, it'll reload that. Going to be important for testing stuff out. This contrast, let me go to the root and remove some stuff. Hold on. Get rid of the dev tools. This is like the most, I never use these TanStack dev tools. I don't know why they add those in, honestly. This plus icon on the bottom right being overlaid with this, not very useful, honestly. What I could actually do is I'm going to say, let's go over here. Instead of having the plus icon for creating a new node at the bottom right of the screen, I want you to show it directly in the middle of the graph if we don't have any nodes placed. If we do have a node placed, then don't show it. Show it in the top middle of the screen. And instead of being a plus circle icon, just have it be called add node. Deletes please, yeah. Bro, people got mad at me because I was using please in a prompt one time. Like they legit came for me. They're like, you know, you're destroying the environment by adding please to your prompts. I'm like, I hate being on social media. I hate being a content creator. Like these people are stupid. But now I've gotten to just, I don't add please to my prompts anymore because for some reason people get frustrated about that. I have a feeling you wouldn't feel so burned out on it, even if 40% of the code wasn't written by it. It's potentially. I don't have an issue with AI writing the code. I've been coding for like 13 years now, 14 years professionally. I don't want to write code anymore. It's a waste of time. It's tedious. I have an idea in my head. I just want it to show up for me. So I'm okay AI writing the code for me. I've gotten past that. At some point, I was kind of feeling some type of a way that like, you know, me becoming very efficient at VS Code and all my shortcuts and diving through code bases was like, you know, I had some pride behind that and some ego. But at this point, I'm like, I don't care. Most of the code, as long as it's not like slop code, I'm okay just like letting AI write the code and refactor the code for me. So I don't think that's what's causing the burnout. I think there's a bunch of things I can kind of talk about that. One is just like the desire to learn has diminished. And so like my YouTube channel was originally made for teaching people how to learn how to code, and that's like gone. People don't seem like they care. And if they do care, they're just prompting an LLM to teach them, which is great. I think that's actually a better way to learn. People used to go to YouTube to like get a walkthrough of how to do stuff because they had no idea how to do it. But now they're probably just having AI do all the coding for them. Okay, so I mean, I feel like people don't care to learn to code as much as they used to, or they don't see a value in it. We're also kind of having some uncertainties in this industry, like where this industry is going the next 5 years. Because within a year, I've gone from like, oh, I'm going to use tab completion and cursor's pretty great, to I let AI write all my code. In 1 year, that's a huge pivotal shift in how we're like, coding. So some of the burnout's coming from the uncertainty of the industry, uncertainty in the actual like what's going on in the world. And then also it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I think it's also like the fact that you could probably have some random kid in college using these things. They have all the free time in the world. All they have to do is go and take a little test, and then they have all this free time to build out whatever they want. They could use their mom and dad's credit card and basically build out gigantic SaaS products. They have no idea how these products actually work under the hood, but they could build out these entire SaaS products and make money from them. Meanwhile, kind of feel stuck with the 9 to 5, no other options, no free time to actually build out these things and validate if they're actually good or not. But yeah, I just need to exercise, get back into the mindset. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is I wanted to, first of all, I need to check if these things are like asking for permissions to do stuff. Okay, they seem good. So I wanted to make a prompt, and I want to be able to feed that prompt to another node. And so what I want to grab in is probably some type of agent. Get an OpenAI key, maybe. I think I have some other keys sitting around I could just probably add in. But, okay, so what I want to do now, actually, let me add all these things in before we kind of like, are we missing a gitignore file? Create me a generic gitignore file for this TanStack React project, V project. Come on, Composer. Okay, cool. Composer. Wait, I already have a gitignore? Oh. So why is it like 1,000 file changes? What's going on here? Backup, DI, and Versify. What is this stuff? Bro. Interesting. I don't know why my Git is like, it's at a higher level, and it thinks that, was this not a Git file? Hold on. Maybe that's the issue. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the issue. This thing wasn't even a Git project, maybe? Any clue why my Git status is showing like a bunch of different directories that are outside of the current one that I'm in? I mean, it's working down here right now, so. This might be a cursor issue. Yeah, there shouldn't be a top level Git in my workspace. I'm not sure if that's maybe what's going on there. Okay, there we go. That was weird. Like, granted, the what I'm building right now with this like little innate in clone thing, could you have made a bunch of plan files to build out exactly what you wanted? Probably. Would it already be halfway done with what I'm doing? Maybe. But it's just, yeah, it's more fun when you actually are in the mix, you know, doing it yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to add in using GLM. Can you bring in the Vercel AI library? And then I want you to be able to bring in the Vercel AI library, and then inside of the metadata of the node, I want the ability to write in some information for a prompt in place of where I currently have the dropdown where it says Node.js code. Instead, just make that a prompt. I want to be able to write in some description of what an agent should do. And then I want to add a way to click on a node and inject a prompt. So like add a run button to the first node or something where I can run with some input. And then I want you to feed that to Vercel's AI SDK using the OpenAI module. I'll define an OpenAI key in my .env file so that you can run that and pass that through a chain of all the connected nodes. So I need you to go and research and look through all the graph and figure out the connections so that when I run node A, it should go through and keep passing that to agent B and agent C and agent D until finally I get an output, which you should show in a modal when it's done or something. Show an indicator inside of each node if it's running the agent behind the scenes so I can track that. Okay, this is probably going to be the biggest prompt. Maybe this could be, maybe we should have done a plan for this. But we're going to try this one out. And while that's running, I'm going to go find another project that's using OpenAI and find a key. What's using OpenAI? I think Agentic Jumpstart is. So let me load that up. Oh, leaked my keys already. Look at that. Let's go and just I'll move that to another screen up here. Okay, luckily those are my test keys, so I think we're good. I have to go back and stream and see what I leaked. Honestly, that was too much to go double check. But I have my OpenAI key now. And then I can load that up in a .env file here. Let me move that to another screen. All right, let me go back. I'm going to rewind my stream to see what I leaked. It's unfortunate. R2 secret access key, R2 bucket, my Stripe secret key, which is my test account, so it's fine. Test account, Stripe webhook is my local price ID. That's going to be my Stripe test account. Stripe discount ID, that's also not important. Yeah, so I didn't really leak anything important. So honestly, unless you guys go and start uploading random documents to my test Agentic Jumpstart dev bucket, but you guys didn't even see the full key, so you won't be able to do that anyway. So I think we're good. All right. Burr is a Python library, but your app is using React TypeScript. Which approach would you like to use for the AI agent executor? I just want to use a custom one. I'll probably have to babysit this one. It's probably going to ask me a decent amount of questions. Do you use Claude on your job when you have to code? If yes, is there any restrictions around security? Yeah, I'll use Claude and Cursor at my job. I don't let it run in dangerously skip permissions mode. I review every single command it's trying to run. I only leave some striped keys. I should be good. This is why you don't leave your .env files open if you are going to be a streamer. I'm using Windows. Laptop has an RTX 470 and runs Quencoder 3 and GLM 4.7 Flash is fine. All that. Yeah, I want to get a 590 just to play around with like these local models to see how they do, but I'm pretty sure a 590 costs like $1,600. And honestly, I don't know if you can even buy one at this point. I feel like there's in such high demand and low supply that it'd probably be very hard to get one. But maybe. I've always been wanting to remake like a Windows desktop computer. I've been using Mac for so long now. When I first got into like using computers and gaming, it was all Windows. I used to build my own like computers, buy the motherboards, put in the RAM, set up the chassis, the power supply, all that stuff. It'd be fun to do it again. It's been a long time since I've done that. But I feel like I'm going to get it all set up, try the local models, and realize that it starts falling apart when I kick off 5 concurrent terminals. And then I'll be like, okay, this was kind of not useful. Yeah, Leon, if you're still in the stream, I'd be curious. If you kick off like 4 or 5 concurrent things in your local machine, can it actually handle it? Or is it kind of like just completely lock up? Even with the RTX 550. That's why I decided to fix today a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to stop adding new features. It's too complex. I might just work on it to make all stuff work properly so people can just use it as is. Yeah. I think we just need to stop adding stuff. There's too much stuff. It doesn't even meet my needs, so. Would you also recommend doing a code review for every feature written by AI? I would do a spot check. Some of the code that's written is not important to review. Like honestly, front-end code, I don't think it's very critical to review that with high scrutiny. But the backend API code, yes, make sure it's doing auth checks. It has authentication, authorization checks. Make sure that the database queries you're doing, if you're using like an ORM or SQL queries or whatever, make sure that it's doing performant code. I have seen these models write a for loop over like 1,000 items, and then it does like an await sequentially. And it takes like 20 seconds to go through everything. Instead of doing like a promise all or promise all settled or adding in some type of batching mechanism, I have seen it do some pretty poor performance things on APIs. So I think it is good to review the code and just kind of have an understanding of the quality of the code that's writing and then reprompt it to fix it up if it's not doing a good job. But for some other stuff, I would just look through to make sure that like, hey, you know, there's a file here that's 4,000 lines of code. That's when you should probably go and start like refactoring it. Like I bet you right now in this application, we have this flow app. This thing is hitting, it's not too big. It's like 800 lines of code, but it has like a nested dialog in here. I'm sure there's a bunch of buttons. So we could probably, yeah, here's like the buttons for the clear board, the add node, stuff like that. So I'd probably find ways to abstract this into subcomponents. Like this could be a top toolbar component, which could have this add node button. I could have a top left toolbar. There's probably like a dialog somewhere, a sheet. Yeah, I could probably pull this whole sheet into another component as well. This is a pretty big file. 800 lines of code, in my opinion, is a smell. It's kind of large. You could probably split this up into smaller stuff. And we could probably use GLM to do that for us, honestly. But let me get to a stopping point before I just kind of kick that one off. I think I'm pretty behind in comments. Let me kind of go through these real quick. Speaking of building quality code and slowing down, what is your strategies for testing agentic code at work, side projects? Do you use agents to write and execute end-to-end tests, for example? Yeah, I use agents to write end-to-end tests, Cypress tests. I have a context file that describes like all the best Cypress practices. And then also we have a bunch of testing utility files. So like I have a context file that explains, instead of just grabbing this, data test ID directly, there's a whole library of files, helper utility functions you should use to grab these components that already exist on the pages, and you should use that when you're writing the tests. I think the Cypress best practices URL, like that's also included in the context. But yeah, I let the agents write the tests now. They work pretty well. I don't know if I don't really like let it run the tests as much. On side projects, I'll let it like run and write the test in a loop. But at work, I actually like to slow down and like inspect everything. Because at the end of the day, like if you ship the vulnerability or if you break the app, it's on you. You can't blame the AI for doing it. It's going to be blamed on you. You are the liability. And so I want to make sure that like for a real job that I'm getting a paycheck for, you best believe I'd rather ship slow and ship quality. Hey, did you see the BridgeMine guy? He has like 5 terminals and 3 projects at the same time. I think people are taking it a bit too far. No, I mean, I'm in his channel. I'm in his Discord as well. I've been watching him for the past like month or so. I think it's pretty cool. I think he has some people have the ability to context switch a lot, and I think he is one of the prime examples of how people could be agentic coding. I think he's more on the vibe coding side of things, so he's not really reviewing the code. From what I've seen, he doesn't review the code like ever much at all. But it's a testament to see how fast and how much you can ship with having multiple Claude Code instances. Like he has like Codex open, he has like Warp open. So yeah, it's possible, right? I wouldn't say that's too far. It really depends on the needs of the project. He's trying to ship, one-man team SaaS products. So he needs to move fast and he needs to be able to just like get features out there. But on a larger project, it's probably different requirements. Plan mode is literally the most important part of the whole agentic coding workflow. Yeah, sometimes. I have seen plan mode help with the output a lot, especially if you don't know what you want. But the way that I'm coding right now in this stream, I have found that to be very useful, like the iterative approach of like, let's just add in one more modal. Let's just add in one more dialogue. Let's just add in a sheet now. I have found that it's like an exploratory type of building out of applications. It's a fun way to code and it's useful. But for a larger project, if you have the clear requirements given to you in like a user story or GitHub issue, and you have like business analysts writing all this stuff for you, then yeah, using a plan mode, grab all their information, throw it in a plan mode, and then let Opus try to implement it. That's been very useful. Let's see. Negativity around AI too, I feel. Yeah, I feel like I got 4 kids and a full-time job. I want to use AI coding to break free and win back my time. Yeah, I feel like that's how everyone feels. But then like, even when you try using AI coding, you realize that it still starts requiring all your time. Like there's no shortcuts. There's just no shortcuts. You might be able to code faster, but now you got to spend more time trying to figure out how to market the thing you're building. And that's going to take you a bunch of time as well. You can't just throw in videos into some type of AI generation tool and post them on YouTube. No one's going to watch them. No one's going to care about them. You actually have to connect with your audience so they actually trust what you're saying and they want to click on your product and go and buy it. And that's something you can't just learn overnight. So I think AI is slowly helping us become more efficient in all these different areas. But like, I think saying that it's going to completely automate away engineers or completely automate marketers or stuff, I just think that's kind of a non-realistic take. But if you feel burned out, why are you still coding? Take a break. I mean, I took like 8 days break on my channel. If you go back, you notice I haven't posted in like 8 days. So I've been kind of slowing down a little bit on the content. Do stuff you like to do before you might burn out for reals. Might some also enjoy watching it. Yeah. Writing code manually is like a roofer driving nails with a hammer. Using AI is like a roofer using a nail gun. If you want to build things using AI, it's a no-brainer. Absolutely. In my opinion, it's never been more fun to make personal projects, but on the other hand, corporate has never been more boring. Yeah. Will set the GPU on fire. Maybe 30 byte make it run for 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 sessions max. Yeah, I don't know if that's worth buying a giant graphics card if I can only run 2 sessions. A video on testing agentic code would be valuable. Yeah, I think that could be a good video. Any advice on how to get a software engineering job or internship? Honestly, I don't really know. Apply places, join Discords, talk to people, make connections. It's not easy. I'll just say that it's not easy. I even tried like applying some places, went through multiple interviews, got rejected from everywhere. I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping going on. Like the way that we do interviews in this industry is very like checklisty. Like here's a checklist of things that we're going to ask you, and we're going to gauge the way that you can respond to building out this esoteric thing that you're never actually going to do in your real life. But we're going to gatekeep you from getting into the position unless you can solve this in front of me. You need to find a way to summarize the past 13 years of your experience and convince me to hire you in 30 minutes. Like it's kind of a weird. Interviews are just weird. I don't know if there's a better solution for it. Lagging for you too? Yeah, I could. Let me see if I can change my output. I could just turn off my video camera. That could also work. Video bit rate. Let's just try 4,000. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I think it's just the cold. There's like a giant cold front hitting this whole area. I'm guessing it's slowing down something. Maybe everyone's using their internet at home right now. I'm getting like 900 kilobytes a second right now. The data engineering is automated. Everything else would be automated. Crazy, you have 14 years of experience and you do not have offers. I mean, also, I would say interviewing is something like it's a learned skill. You have to learn how to pitch yourself to someone, convince them that you're worth hiring. And then some days you'll wake up and you're just like not feeling it. It's like, dude, I just don't feel like doing this interview right now, but you got to do it anyway. So you got to knock down a couple coffees and act like you're super enthusiastic about solving a leak code problem or solving some other completely pointless question that they're going to ask you. So anyway, one of the interviews, I almost just clicked the disconnect button. Like I was just so like done with it. I'm like, I'm just going to disconnect from this. Like, Are you doing multiple terminal agent instances when at work? No, usually it's just one. Usually it's just one. I'll grab a user story. It's pretty well documented, or there's a bug I got to fix. And getting that fixed and then testing it takes a lot of time. You can't just test locally. You got to get it deployed out to a real environment that has like, you know, a couple 16 gigabytes of data on like the database to see if your fix actually works in a real environment. And all this stuff, like fixing the code was like a small portion of all of the pipeline that bogs down the real work. And then getting it out there, and then you have to get UX to approve it, and you have to get the testing team to approve it, and they'll find a little thing that you have to go and tweak because they didn't think about it when they wrote the user story. So you go back and you do the whole process again. And then sometimes you can concurrently work on like 3 or 4 tasks or features or bugs. But at some point you're just like, you hit a mental context switching roadblock where you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do all that. You know? Do you think tech debt is worry for people AI coding? I'm not sure if you heard of Claude Code terminal flickering bug that just can't seem to fix. Seems like as an industry, we are running into bugs you'd only run into in really mature code bases a lot quicker since we can churn out code much faster. Yeah, I think quality is going to become an issue if it's not already an issue. I think people are very like, I'll just prompt it and get it to production. Before, like, you'd actually be limited by how fast your brain can review the code and write the code. You reviewing the code as it's coming out of your fingers, writing to the keyboard, to now it's like we got to review code that if someone else wrote, some other bot wrote. And so yeah, I think it's going to be a lot more problematic. Often when you spend more time, you're going slower writing the code, you're thinking about all the edge cases as you're implementing the feature. And then you can be better at testing what you're implementing because these edge cases come to your mind as you're spending days writing this implementation versus spending 5 minutes now or 10 minutes with GLM or Claude Code implementing everything. It's like a lot of the stuff's being offloaded, so like you're not really thinking thoroughly through the thing that you're trying to add in. So I think software quality is going to go down a little bit. Where are you failing the interviews? Honestly, I don't know. I feel like I'm doing a good job. Like they asked me a question, I design a system. It's just they asked me a bunch of like random questions. Like I was getting asked a bunch of like random Linux questions. Like, okay, can you list out what chmod does? How do you print out the permissions of a file? And I was like, okay, I answer those questions fine for what I understood. I've been using Linux and CentOS and Ubuntu for servers for a while. But then they'll ask you like even more deeper questions. And I guess in my mind, I'm like, dude, who cares? Like, I can Google this stuff. I can ask an LM to answer these questions for me. Like, can we actually just do a pair programming session and like, can we build something together? I think that would be the best way to gauge if someone can actually collaborate and work with you versus asking a preset list of like gotcha questions, LC is the most boring thing ever if you're someone who enjoys building. What is LC? Oh, leak code. Yeah, leak code's just dumb. People need to stop asking leak code questions. Some of the best engineers I've worked with who actually like are thorough, they think through all the edge cases, they think about the problem they're trying to solve, they make sure that the solution they're implementing as robust as possible, and then they're failing leak code questions because they don't know how to reverse a binary tree or something. It's like, I don't know. And then I don't understand why engineers think that that's a good litmus test to know if you're like going to be a good hire at their company. This thing just keeps asking me questions, so I might just sit here and like let it go. What did I even ask in this whole thing? Oh, this is the one long prompt. Tell if the server's already running. All right, OpenAI will use a GPT-4o mini model by default. You can modify this and execute node pro. Let's see if this thing actually worked. Do a hard refresh. I'll say researcher. I need you to go and make a well-documented, given a input, go and research everything related to the input and then output that in a nice bullet point list so that another agent can use that to write a blog post. Let's see if that kind of works. Given an input, I want you to write a blog post geared towards software engineers, so you can keep the context and the language high level, or you can get into implementation detail if you want to. Just say writer. Oops, I was doing it in the wrong place. Write a blog post article with the provided input. My nose. All right. Writer, we got a researcher. Where's the play button? I need to be able to give this some type of input. This is great. On any node, if I click on the node, Actually, how do I want to do this? Yeah, I'll just add like a play button to it or something. In the graph on the node, can you add a play button? If I click on the play button, can you show a input dialog where I can input some text into a text area, which will then pass that to the node. The node will then use the agent prompt to process the text input and then pass the output to the next connected node. Finally, when the very last node finishes, aka the node that has no outputs, just go ahead and show the output in a dialog automatically. I want you to show a spinner inside the nodes on the graph if they are currently running their AI process. I'm pretty sure I already asked it to do this stuff, so I don't think it even implemented half the stuff I just asked in the previous prompt. A plan mode might have actually gave us a little bit more success there. Typically with larger features like this, I would probably say use a plan mode. But for a lot of the smaller little tweaks, I don't use plan modes. I kind of just prompt my way to a... Oh, there's the play button. What's your take on Open Code? I think it's fine. I don't really use it, but I think it's fine. Were you limiting yourself to fully remote roles? Those are super competitive right now. Yeah, I mean, I already work full-time remote. I've been working remote since 2015. I'm not going to go back to in-office, so that's probably going to cause it to be a little bit more harder to find a role. LeetCode was fine before there was a full prep industry around it, similar to SAT, ACT. Questions used to be easier. Yeah, I mean, I used to do competitive programming back in college. Like, you're not learning... LeetCode is just teaching you how to identify the algorithms that you need to use to solve the problem, right? So, like, you're learning how to read a prompt and then quickly go through, is this Dijkstra's? Is this Kruskal's? Is this min spanning tree? Is this dynamic programming, right? So you're like going through that list and you're trying to identify which algorithm that actually solves this. And then when you narrow that down, you're like, okay, this is definitely dynamic programming. You implement the program, you get it to work with the prompt, and you solve the problem. It's not really teaching you how to solve critically and like build. It's teaching you how to apply algorithms to solve these questions. And the questions were written with these algorithms in mind, right? These people who write the LeetCode questions, often they're like, I'm going to write a graph problem. And then they think, okay, maybe I can throw in like a hidden Kruskal's algorithm. And then they try to write a prompt to make it really hard to identify that it's Kruskal's. So you're not actually like quizzing someone on their ability to be an engineer. You're quizzing them on how to solve LeetCode problems. You know what I mean? So it's just a waste of time. Any place that's quizzing with LeetCode problems, I think they're probably just a bad company to work for, in my opinion. And the engineers there, I think, are very lost and misguided. So I'd be very hesitant at even accepting at a company that's doing those type of questions. I'm in the digital marketing for around 15 years, and the moment AI started, I was using it extensively and was building complete apps for the company I was working for. Now decided to quit digital marketing and will be an AI architect as the companies are looking for business-oriented technical individuals. I was also coding crazy times. Yeah, I keep hearing people like basically building giant applications. They have no idea how to code. Which I guess is just the way we're kind of going, you know? Hey, what's up, Jesse? The stream lag is... Yeah, I don't know how to fix it. I could try to turn off my camera. Maybe that'll fix it a little bit. Just super laggy today. I don't know why. 15% drop frames. Is the audio messed up too? Is the audio messed up or is it just the video? Anyway, let's just run this one. What should this workflow be? I'm going to make this an article about React State. How does React State work? And why would we want it? Okay, it's like kicking off both of these. Also not done here. I noticed that when I ran... Oh, it shows the plus there. Maybe it is kind of working. Let's just let this run and see what happens. It should show a modal when it's done. Nice. Researcher, step 1, given the input. Okay. Understand the React state. Writer. Yeah, so I mean, this kind of works. It basically took the output of the researcher, it passed it to as input to the writer. And yeah. I think this is working good, but the spinner shows on both nodes, even though I only kicked off the process on the writer. It should only show the spinner on the writer until the writer is fully done. And then when it's done, it should show the check mark on the writer, and then it should go and start spinning on the... I think I messed that up. This is great, but it shows the spinner on both the reader and the writer. When I kicked off the process for the reader, it should not have made the writer start showing a spinner. Make sure you only show the spinner running for that particular node at that time. Extremely cheap compared to Opus. I think you get a ton more requests. So yeah, if you're not living in the US and you can't afford Opus, and I mean, definitely check out GLM 4.7. I think it's actually a pretty good model. Again, we just scratched the surface on a live stream, and I haven't really been seriously coding because I've been looking at chat and stuff. But everything I prompted, it basically gets it implemented within like 1 or 2 prompts. And I mean, granted, the complexity of this, I'm sure there's examples online with how this kind of works with the React flow. So I mean, is it really doing something complex? No, it's probably just grabbing. But I mean, that's what all the models do, right? Yeah, I'm dropping 81% of all my frames. I have... All right, I'm going to end the stream. Sorry, guys. I don't know